folks, welcome back. It is Mother's Day. Current date is, I believe, the 12th of May 2019, and I'm in the studio right now. I just finished trimming one of these bowls that I'm going to alter, and in just a moment I'm going to remove some of the material. Alright, just have a quick look. So I got this big fruit bowl that I'm making right now. You can kind of tell based on the top, it's really light as compared to the bottom, and that's because it dries unevenly. So one of the things that I like to do when I am working on some of these bowls is to dry it, and then as soon as it's, I guess, leather hard or dry enough to remove from the bat, then what I do is I flip it upside down and trim it. So I'll dry it like this for a couple of days. But before that happens, what I want to do is just kind of, I'm going to slice off a couple little pieces, and then I'll clean up the edge. So just going to remove these pieces from my Giffen grip, these off to the side, and then what I'm going to need is some kind of a ruler. I like one of these bendy rubber rulers because what it does is it allows me to get somewhat of a straight line when I'm trying to trim a piece. Okay, so I like to work from the outside when trying to do these, and I like a little bit of a trapezoidal shape. So let me just get this first part right here. I think it'll make sense. So I'll put this ruler down like this, kind of hold on with a nice tight grip. I'm going to lightly score the clay. And then after I do this once, I could do a couple more times. And what will happen is that it'll start to break through the clay. And I can go back with a sharper knife, like an X-Acto blade. I could really slice through easily. There's one of those incisions right there. So I'm gonna just take off that big chunk. And if you can see from the profile, it should have a little bit of an indentation or a little bit of a curve. Okay, so looking at this right now, oops, I gotta fix that. Looking at this right now, I need to go for another line that goes in this direction. So now that I got that, I think my target is going to be about here. So I want it to be roughly trapezoidal when I look down at it. And I think I need this part to be about here. Okay. So I'll put this ruler back down again. I'm gonna try to look for that target. And I think I got it. So I'll go back in. Nice grip on the ruler. I'm actually holding the bowl with my index finger, which is on the other side. Now I have my guideline. I have to fix this in just a moment, but not too worried about that. Okay, so now you see the other two ends of the bowl. What I'll need to do is to make another curved line that goes around. And then I'll be able to jump to the next clip. Alright, so let's take one more look before I follow and jump to the next step. You can see a little bit of a quadrilateral of a shape. You got the four sides that'll kind of cut into it. And as we rotate around, you can see which parts will point upwards and which parts won't. And then part of the reason I didn't cut this off is because I made a mistake. I made a little indentation there. So what I'll have to do is, while it's still in a nice round shape, I can throw it back on the pottery wheel. And if I need to trim any more material, I'll be able to do so. Once it's out of round and I slice off those other pieces, it will not be so easy to trim and to get this bottom portion into round. So, a nice wiggle. Okay, it's nice and tight. So what I'll use is this razor blade, and I'm gonna cut into this piece of clay, and that should help me slice everything off neatly. Okay, so home stretch. Only got a little bit more to go. So I'm gonna use a sponge mainly to shape the lip of this guy. And then what I'll do is I'll let it dry over the course of about a week and I'll bisque fire it. So I've got a little bucket of water right here and a sponge. What I'm gonna do is just start to saturate this lip. And I'm going to try to go in a direction that matches the curve. And what's going to happen is a lot of the clay is going to get eaten away, and it's going to leave all of the sharp, groggy surfaces, and we'll leave all the sharp, little groggy pieces. It's going to go back if I see like a little piece that's kind of sticking out. I'm going to try to carve it away. I'm trying to get as nice rounded edges right here. So as I'm smoothing this out, I'm looking at the bottom of the bowl and the top of the bowl. I'm thinking about any material that needs to come out. It needs to be removed. I'm thinking, okay, how can I very gently remove this material? The way this clay stuff works is that the smallest particles are going to be the ones that go away first. So it's going to leave a very sandy textured appearance on the edge. A lot of people don't like that, but there's a little remedy for that that I'll show in just a moment when I'm just about done. I like how some of these little corners could get rounded off. Just a little bit of effort. Give the inside a little wipe down. Looks like there's a little bit of white clay that got into and mixed into this. I don't want it to be contaminated, so I'll just wipe it out. Make sure it's nice and clean. Looks like I've lost some of the spiral that I had in the middle of the bowl. That'll be okay. Still gonna look real pretty when we glaze it. Okay, so I just want to inspect the bottom. So not really holding it up to the camera, but I'm looking at this section. It looks pretty good. So here's the last step. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a nice leather chamois. So this is what I use. Just like a little tiny piece of leather. It's a really great tool when you're doing some life drawing with some charcoal, but as it turns out it also does a great job forming lips on pottery because it deforms nicely. So what I'm going to do is just take this and kind of crumble it up, but what it'll do is it'll wrap around the surface, and I'm going to just burnish the edge right here. And what that does is, unlike the sponge, which will absorb all of the water, after a couple times it will start to push the water back and forth, and it will help to reintegrate those sandy pieces of grog into the clay. So it really does a good job of smoothing the surface of your bowl, and it kind of rehydrates the clay as well. So if it's really dry and you introduce a lot of water to the edge, it could be problematic, but what I found is by using the chamois, it kind of lightly softens up the edges of the clay. So you kind of see, I don't know if it's going to pick up, if the light will pick up or if the camera will pick up that appearance, but there's like a little bit of a sheen to that corner. Okay, so I'm just going to dip this into some water, get rid of most of that clay again, and then what I'll do is, again, just kind of wrap it around. That's what it looks like up and close. So again, wrap this guy around, and then again, just start to burnish it back and forth, and then you get that nice smoothed out lip, and you'll see a lot of the clay come back to the surface. A lot of that, all that good grog will kind of dissipate and go and kind of hide. Okay, here's another look. Right. So it's kind of like a nice squared plate. Definitely has a profile, so when you leave it on a table, it looks rounded like a bowl. You got those nice clean edges. All right, thanks for watching.